Are you learning about CSS Basics for Beginners and want to know all about CSS class inheritance, what it is, how to understand it and how to use it in real-world projects? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, Martin here from MDP Web Development. Today we'll be working on a project that we'll use as a reference project throughout the Web Development for Beginners playlist. Don't forget to check out the playlist from the start to get a better understanding of HTML and our reference project. It's updated each week with new videos. Be sure to stick around to the end to see how to get the project files on GitHub to use throughout this playlist. I'll link to important videos there also. There's a link in the description down below to the GitHub repository where all the source code is. Let's get started.
Before we go on, be sure to watch the Visual Studio Code Editor video. It explains how to get and set up VS Code for use in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. And also watch the video on creating your first web page. I'll link to them in the description below. Here's a summary to get you started. First, create a folder on your desktop and call it Reference Project. Next, download and install Visual Studio Code Editor for your operating system from the link in the description. Open VS Code, then open this folder and create a new file called index.html. In the file content, type an exclamation mark and hit enter. This should create a new standard document for you. Open the file from the desktop folder and it should be a blank page as we have not put any content in it yet. If you get stuck, just watch these videos first.
CSS Inheritance. Inheritance is very important for CSS and the internet. If we set something on the father element, then all the child elements will also inherit that. We can see a child element inherits properties from the parent element. We can say inherited properties are set to the value of the parent. And non-inherited properties, values are set for the element. This can be very powerful. You can go into your document, and if you want all your text, no matter whether it's heading or paragraph, to be a certain color, you can set the body text color to whatever color you want. Then everything on that will inherit that color. We can see here on the top left we have the body section and a paragraph of text with an unordered list and also a button. And on the bottom left we can see the body color for all text set to orange. And on the right we can see the paragraph of text inherited the orange color and also the list items in the unordered list. Inheritance is very important like that, but sometimes can be confusing and kind of hard to debug where the issue actually is. If something is not turning out right, it's usually inheritance. Sometimes you might have to override what you don't want inherited to a certain property. Hi, before we move on, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thank you.
So now we're going to open Visual Studio Code and our project and a browser window on the right to preview our project. It's going to go to our desktop and double click on Visual Studio Code. Then we're going to go to the Explorer view and open folder. And mine is on the desktop, so I'm going to go Desktop, Reference Project, select Folder. And here we can see we have our HTML file. If we open the browser view, we can see the reference project folder and the index.html file we created. Now to see the browser window on the right, if you have the live server extension installed, you'll see Go Live button down here on the bottom. And if you haven't, you just have to go out to your desktop, open the folder, and click on the index.html file. So once you've clicked on that file, we're just going to click this Go Live button here. And that'll start up a new browser server window for us. So a handy shortcut for Windows to put something on the left and right is to press the Windows key and then right or left arrow and release the Windows key. Then select the one you want on the left or right. So I'll close this panel. So another handy shortcut for Windows is the zoom key. If you press CTRL, then the plus to zoom in and negative to zoom out. So we can see here we have our Windows browser on the right. So the only difference if we had to open this manually on the desktop and click on the file is if we make changes on the left in our code editor, you would have to click refresh on the right to see it.
So let's have a look at some CSS inheritance in our project that we've done so far. So if you go into our My Style CSS, CTRL plus to zoom in, and let's have a look here. Can you see anywhere here where we use CSS inheritance? Here at the top we can see body, font family, font style, color, font size, and text align. Naturally, any element that's on the page will be affected by what we set on the body element, because the body element is the main element. So anything we set there will be inherited from any elements inside that. So let's just do a quick test here, and we'll set the font size to something different and see if our headings, links, and paragraphs and everything inherit all the new font sizes. So instead of 16 pixels, let's set it to 23 pixels. And we can see now, indeed, everything to do with font on our page has gotten larger. The links, our H1, our paragraphs, even text inside our lists. How cool is that? Inheritance is very handy like that. So let's just set that back to what it was, 16 pixels. And we see everything gets smaller again. And if you look down here, then we can see other places. All links will inherit these colors and the settings we have. And if we were to place HTML colors on an element, background element, we'd say we wanted that color applied. Then that'll apply the color to that, we'd say section, like HTML section. And if you set a text color to a section, then anything inside that will inherit that color. We can see most of our classes would be inherited that way. How cool is that?
So to get the files used in this example, the HTML reference project, just go to the GitHub link that's down in the description of this video. You can have a look at it here. So a GitHub repository is just a location on the internet hosted by a company called Git that most developers like to share or store their code in, either for their own use or to share with other developers. The repository on GitHub is just a folder used to store code or files, etc. Let's have a look at each folder. So when we're in the repository here, you can see the name of the repository there, actions along the top. You can see the main folder here, and there's a README file too. So if you want, you can just click onto the folders and see what's inside them and download the code from there. But to get all the code, you're going to go over here to the code button. We're going to click and download zip file. Once that's downloaded, go into your downloads folder. Then we need to extract it. So you're going to Windows, you're going to right click and extract all. Now let's just have a look at these files in vscode. So we're going to go to our desktop. We're going to open up Visual Studio Code. And now we're going to open the folder that we just extracted. Open folder on the left. And we're going to go to Downloads. And here we are. And you can see here on the Explorer view on the left, there's the folder we can click to expand. And here's the reference project folder. And here's the HTML file, so we click on that, and there's the code. You can use this for reference or to rebuild your project if something goes wrong.
Hi, I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. See you next time.